So namaste everybody, we're just going to wait a few minutes just to get everybody set up in their spaces for yoga on Good Friday. What a beautiful day. So had to really be in the garden today. If you're getting yourself and your space ready, you might want to get a blanket ready and also a couple of sofa cushions, okay? Puffy ones if possible, because we're going to do some sort of restorative yin style poses as well. We're going to prop ourselves up. That should be enough for today. You don't need anything else in particular. So we're just going to bring ourselves into practice, kneeling or sitting for the moment, whichever you feel is comfortable. And then when we get to the top of the hour, we'll make a start. And just soak up some rays. It's very tempting to introduce these with the "Hey you cool cats and kittens, this is Carol from Big Cat Rescue," but it's probably not appropriate for yoga. But every time I switch the camera on, I just think of her at the moment. So hope you're well, Carol. So whenever you're ready, you can bring yourself into your practice space, into the sun, hopefully, if you've managed to. You probably can't see the screen in the sun. And just sit in a comfortable cross-legged position. If it's more comfortable to prop yourself up at this stage, because some of us don't find sitting very comfortable, then you can stick a cushion underneath your bottom. And prop yourself up a little bit just to take the weight out of the pose from the hips and the knees. So just sit and relax for a moment. Notice how you're feeling today. We're still in our strange times where we're just in lockdown, so we're maybe not moving as much. Maybe we're only going out once a day, if that. Maybe we're not walking. So we may feel a little bit sort of blocked and locked, which is sort of last night's practice was particularly around sort of unlocking and unblocking our spine, which is, let's face it, our central sort of channel of energy. If that's not really sort of working properly, then we're starting to feel sort of stuck. So we're just going to look at sort of getting some mobilization. So acknowledging those feelings that you're feeling today. Lots of people out in their gardens today, so tune into your own feelings. So when you're ready, then we're just going to bring some gentle movement in. You can stay sitting propped up. If it's easier for you to a bit wider, that's fine too. Okay, relaxing into position. It's very bright, so I apologize if I'm squinting at you. So first of all, then we're just going to bring our hands up. Just bring our hands maybe just down to the back, where you just feel the back of the skull. We're going to sit up nice and tall, lift the elbows, stretch up through the top of the head, drop the shoulder heads forward, the elbows forward, and just sort of guide the top of the head forward and down. So we're just going to try and stretch out through the back. You might feel a pull all the way down to the bra strap area. Breathing here. Release it off. I'm going to turn the head to the side, so turn it slowly, keeping nice and tall through the spine, just giving yourself space, not ratcheting the head round too far, just bringing it into a safe position. Breathing in back to center, breathing out, turning, keeping tall through the spine, dropping the shoulders away. breathing back to center. Stretch up the right arm, bend the elbow, and catch the hand behind. You don't have to catch the hand if you can't fetch it, so just press the hands into the back ribs, lift the elbow, open up, fan open your armpit here, and just lift and stretch. Tuck the chin backwards, keep the spine nice and long. Breathing here. Releasing off, bring the left arm up, stretch the left arm up, bend at the elbow, lengthening through the triceps here. Open up your armpit, really sort of fan the armpit forward. Bring the arm behind. If you can reach, great. If not, press the hands in. Stretch up nice and tall, tuck in the chin, and breathe here. So we're aiming to get height into the spine, as tall as you can manage, and opening up the armpit as well. Apologies if you can hear that. There's some sort of chat going on Church Walk behind the garden. Concentrate on the body. Really tall, focused, lengthening. Release the hands. Clasp the hands in front of you, flip them over and away, push the palms away and stretch away through and forward. Roll the shoulders back and down at the same time and see if you can pull the shoulder blades apart and just stretch them forward. Breathing here. Using your Ujjayi breath if that's what suits you, closing the soft palate of the throat and breathing in and out through the nose. And then very gently, we're going to swap the legs over if you're still sitting cross. I'm going to bring the hands behind. So clasp the hands behind. If it's easy for you to have the arms wide and just bring them up and over, that's fine too. Just find where your shoulders can be comfortable. If you can close the clasp, then great. Roll each shoulder back, one at a time. Drop the shoulders down the back, drop the clasp away, and really concentrate on opening the pectoral muscles. This feels like a sort of sun salutation today. Just feel the sun, open the heart, take the warmth into the body, and then tuck the chin in. Keep the back nice and long, and it's not about how low you go, it's about how long the spine is. And if you're going a bit further, then tuck the chin in to lengthen the back of the neck, and breathe out and fold over. Stretching the clasp and away, keeping the space in the shoulders, so don't allow the shoulders to hunch up, just keep drawing them down and away. Breathing here. Breathe in, release it off. Release the arms, roll the shoulders one at a time, forward and back. Swim the elbows. Shake the wrists out if you need to, because that's quite strong. Okay, lovely. And then just taking some gentle twists. So this is a kind of unlocking sort of poses where you can be nice and tall, rolling the shoulders down to center. Take a moment if you need to. And then breathing out, right hand to left knee. Roll the left shoulder open. Tent the hands behind to give yourself the height. Stretch through the top of the head, tuck the chin, and just twist. Breathing here. Tucking your bandhas in, your pelvic floor, your tummy. Excellent, and we're back. Okay, Wi-Fi dropped out for a minute there, lovely. Okay, so final pose in our seated position. Okay, we're just sitting up nice and tall. We're going to take the hands behind. So again, tent the hands again. We're going to open up. Tent up, open up the chest, lift and lengthen again. But this time, if you want to drop the head back and flatten the hands, soften the elbows and then lift the heart. And you're aiming to get the front of the body as long as possible here. Breathing. such a lovely day. Disengage the head first and then bring yourself back up to center. Okay, carefully does it then. You can lose the pillow for the minute. Okay, pop it out to the side. We're going to use it later for some lying twists. And we're going to bring ourselves then into our cat-cow position. So I'm going to turn sideways for this. If you want to prop your knees up, depending on what floor you're on, my garden is not very level, so I'm just going to prop my knees up. Okay, so knees under hip joints, and then we're going to bring our wrists, elbows and shoulders nicely in line. Stretch through the top of the head. We're not going to think too much about the movement at the moment. We're just going to draw the shoulders away, push the floor away and stretch through the top of the head and just level up the pelvis. So just move around a little bit, do a little bit of dancing, nothing elaborate. Okay, just explore how that lower back is feeling. So what you might be feeling here, especially if you're doing a lot more sitting, is you might feel that sort of quadratus lumborum down into the gluteus medius at the back of the hip, and at the bottom edge of the erector spinae, down into the deep into the pelvis, are actually feeling quite tight. So just move around, just very subtle, nothing massive. You're just sort of wobbling the pelvis around a little bit, dancing around and dipping and flexing and extending, and just seeing where you can feel where there are areas of tension. I can feel my right psoas isn't very happy at the moment, which explains why the jump throughs of the vinyasa haven't been working very well this week. So we're just going to sort of really sort of just see if we can iron a little bit of that out. Come to stillness then when you're ready. If you're enjoying that, then carry on just ironing things out. Leveling up a little bit, so just tuck and flex, tuck and flex. Draw the shoulders down the back, stretch through the top of the head. Keep the head completely neutral, so we're looking to keep the head nicely balanced on top of the spine where it belongs. We're not going to look up at the moment. We're going to stick the coccyx up to the ceiling, keep pushing the floor away and drawing the shoulder blades down the back as you drop the belly and flare the coccyx to the ceiling. It's quite a subtle movement, but you can feel the back dip into your cow position. Breathe here and hold. So sometimes we work with the movement. We're going to hold this. Breathe. Notice what's going on in the back. You might feel some quite significant feedback from the outer hips around the bottom edge of the obliques and into the lower back. And release that off. Curl the tail under. Push the floor away. Slide those shoulder blades apart like sliding doors and drop the head here now. So open into cat. Breathing here, suck the belly in, push the floor away, breathing. Taking your time here, taking more time than I am if you want to. Okay, if you've got the time, take the time to hold these poses. And the hold isn't a hold, it's actually just exploring how the pose develops as you spend more time in it. You breathe, lengthen the out breath, particularly here, and not so that tension is created. It's a balance between ease and effort. That's where the yoga is. So again, sliding the shoulders away, dipping the belly, squeezing the mid-back, fanning open the coccyx, pressing the floor away, drawing the shoulders down. So you feel like you're squeezing the bottom trapezius, sort of bra strap or just above the kidney area. Breathing here. Nice slow practice for a bank holiday, no rush. And then reverse it, curling under, pushing away, sliding doors, sliding open and away, fanning open the spine, tucking under, and again finding that balance between ease and effort. Stretching out, breathing here. Sometimes we're guilty of rushing through poses, particularly the ones that we're not very fond of. So sometimes it pays to just be with the breath, be with the body. Whatever is arising is fine. Just acknowledge it, breathe, and then settle back to neutral. Taking yourself back into a swan stretch, so half child pose if you like. We're sitting back on our heels. If it's more comfortable to you to be propped, then grab one of your cushions and stick it, or both of them, on your heels and prop yourself up. If you find kneeling hard, you can also open up the knees wider if you prefer. I like to go at this a couple of times. It feels like oiling the hips, particularly if you've been static. I've done a lot of sitting in an office chair this week, And when you're working at home, you find that you don't move nearly as much as when you're in the office. So you just sat for hours and hours. So just keep moving, keep acknowledging that you need to move, that the spine needs to move, your body joints need to articulate. Stretch away, keep energy in the arms, just enough to hold the elbows off the floor and draw the shoulder blades down the back, but still fan open the hands, really stretch out and lengthen. Bandhas now, really starting to pay attention to them here. So we're going to suck in the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, and tuck in Uddiyana Bandha, and just enjoy the space you're creating in the spine. Breathe outwards. So you've got your side ribs here. You can breathe in all directions. So rather than front breathers and mouth breathers, we're going to be side and back breathers. The lungs can expand sideways and backwards, especially if you're quite low in this pose and against your thighs. Lovely. Change that into a child pose at any point if you prefer, with the hands behind you. Bringing yourself back up then, back up into position. And again, we're going to explore this. You can do this one limb at a time. I'm going to demo both limbs together. But if you want to do an arm at a time and a leg at a time, that's totally fine. You don't have to be all out for this, okay? Just acknowledge how you're feeling today, how much energy you've got, okay? It is a bank holiday. We want to be nice and kind to ourselves. So just balance off. Drop your weight into your left knee, and we're going to stretch the right leg out the back. Now, it's not about height. We're not looking for a full can-can or Darcy bustle here. We're stretching backwards as if we're pressing a button behind us. And then just drop the hip lightly and suck the bandhas in. So pelvic floor tucking in, tummy or Uddiyana Bandha tucking in. If you're comfortable here and you're nicely balanced, staring at the floor will help. Press through the right hand and stretch the left hand away. Then draw the arm back in. So you're drawing both limbs back into the body to activate the muscles. Keep breathing, it's quite strong. If you find this easy and you want to take it up a level, you can take it out to the side. So the arm goes out left and the right leg goes out right, and hold. That really gets into the outer hip. Breathing here. And then slowly bring it back to center. Hold. If you need to come out at any time, you can lower down into swan stretch child pose. Keep breathing. Keep dropping that right hip. Keep sucking in the bandhas. And then take it back out if you're taking it out. Don't worry if you're not. No obligation. It's just if you want to up-level your practice a little bit, you can just take it out a little bit. Keep breathing here. Stretching away. Lengthening. Lowering the left hand down. Lowering the right knee down. Take your rest. Stretching out into swan stretch child pose. If you prefer now, rather than keeping the arms active, because we've just had them really active, then you want to bring the hands back a little bit, bending the elbows underneath the shoulder heads and tucking the chin in into a less expanded swan stretch. Focus on the breathing, lifting the ribs, breathing into all corners of the lungs. We better take that on the other side then. So we're bringing this up again, finding your cat-cow position, your nice table position. Okay, we're just going to find our proportions, knees under hips and wrists, elbows and shoulders nicely aligned. I'm going to drop the weight into the right knee this time. Push away and lift up and out of that hip. Stretch the left leg, out behind you. And again, we're going for length, not height. And drop that left hip slightly to level up the pelvis. Draw the shoulders back and lengthen through the top of the head. And carefully, if you're happy, draw the right arm through. Suck the bandhas in. Keep staring at the floor. The drishti really helps here with your balance. Draw the arm and the leg back in. Keep breathing here. And then carefully out to the side if you're taking it up a notch. And hold. Keep drawing the energy back into the torso. Keep breathing here. Use the bandhas. Nobody said it was easy. Back to center. Hold. Oh, good, a circular saw. Everyone's favourite power tool. Keep breathing. And breathing out. I'll turn up my volume a little bit then. Breathing here. Stretching, lengthening. And back to center. Carefully, hand down, knee down, and stretch back, lengthening. Sitting back, lengthening away, stretching away, keeping long, keeping stretching. Then bring the hands in. Tuck the chin in, and up to you if you want to go to full balasana, child pose. Drop the shoulders down the back, rest the backs of the hands on the floor, and breathe here. Tucking the bandhas in, settling. Tuning into your own breath sounds, your own body. And releasing off. Fantastic. So we'll finally bring ourselves down to lying. Okay, so we're going to lie down to start with before we bring ourselves up to standing and take some standing poses. So here, this is where your 2 sofa cushions might come in handy. You're going to place them out to each side, so roughly speaking, sort of just below the line of your hips. Okay, so carefully arranging yourself on the floor with your legs bent. Okay, you can catch behind the knees and lower yourself down carefully. Just make sure you're nicely settled here. Okay, you can bring the feet in a little bit if you prefer. Lift the head and stretch through the top of the head. Lift each shoulder and arm and relay. Stretch and open, relay. Push the both feet into the floor. Lift the tail. Tip the pelvis and relay each coccyx one at a time. So we're going to carefully bring the hands out to the side, palms open this time. Don't have to be level with the shoulders, they can be slightly below, but your knees are going to go over there at some point. So we're going to cross the left leg over the right. We're going to roll over to the right. Don't worry about keeping the shoulder down for the moment. Find your your cushion, and just guide the right knee into the left leg, so you're just feeling the stretch on the outer hip area here into the bottom on the left side. And then we're going to turn away and push that left shoulder back into the floor, helping with pushing this hand, the right hand, into the floor. So stretch away and lengthen. Breathe here. Tucking in the bandhas helps because that brings focus into the central pillar of the body. Keep breathing here. Relax into it, or put as much stretch into it as you want, finding the edge of your practice. Head back to center. Release the stretch. Carefully roll back to the right, and then undo the legs. Bring yourself back to center. You can take a cheeky apanasana in the middle, so you can hug both knees to chest, and lift the tail off the floor, stretching and lengthening the sacrum away across the mat. Then fan the arms out over again. Carefully does it. We're going to cross the right leg over the left, and we're going to lower down, rolling over to the left hand side to start with. Get your cushion in position. Push the left leg into the right leg to feel the stretch through the rump here. Okay, and then carefully does it. We're going to fan the arms open again, open over to the right, and turn away if it's comfortable through the neck. Breathing here, keeping the shoulders drawing away from the ears. And again, up to you how much effort you put into this, but tucking in the bandhas is essential. So just pulling in the pelvic floor, tucking in the tummy, just to provide that focus into all of this area. This is extremely interconnected, the whole pelvis area. So the more we can tune into our bandhas, the more we can help release other parts that are locked in the pelvis and lower back. Keep breathing. One more breath here, and then when you're ready, disengage your head, disengage the body, back over to the left, undo the legs, and carefully bring yourself back to the middle. Tucking in the knees, lifting up and stretching away. So carefully does it then. Catch the hands and roll yourself back up. And now we're going to just take a moment in seated. If you need to prop yourself up again, then please do. If you want to take your Sukhasana, then you're going to bring the feet further out to the sides of the mat, a bit further away from the bottom than maybe you're used to. And just then guide yourself in so that the shins are roughly parallel with the front of your mat. You're going to sit up tall here and just see if you can just let the hips go. Easier said than done, always. They hold on to a lot of tension right in here in the hip flexors, particularly if you're sitting a lot. So breathing here. Squashy sofas are not the friend of the hip flexor. Settle. Lift the knees up here if you're in your Sukhasana or cross-legged position. Bring the hands through underneath the knees, and we're going to lift up, push the fingers in. If you need to tent or if you need to use your cushions for a bit of lift, it depends on how long your arms are, stretch up and lengthen through the front of the body and the back, and then breathe out. You're just going to sink. So it's not about how low you go. Again, this is about lengthening through the spine, drawing the shoulders down and in, pushing the knees gently into the arms to just create that sort of isometric stretch through the hip and lengthen. You should feel some space being created in the lower spine and around the outer hip. Bandhas tucked in here, breathing here, and again, it's not about how low you go. You're not getting your face to the floor. You're thinking about puffing the heart through and stretching through the top of the head. And eventually, yes, you will meet the floor, but in some time in the future. Breathing here. I'm going to take that on the other side, so we're going to swap the legs over into the Sukhasana, so work the feet out a little bit wider and a bit further away from what you would normally do. The baby robins are singing in the nest next to me. You probably can't hear it. It's a very tiny noise, but they're just chirping. Very cute. There are at least 2 or 3 in there. So carefully does it. Lift the knees. The mum and dad are busy flitting back and forth. Stretch up, lengthen. Keep really sort of activating the legs here, sucking in the bandhas, draw the shoulders down the back, lengthen through the top of the head. Again, not about how low you go, pushing down the knees into the arms to create that stretch through the outer hip and stretch away. So we're looking at activating the back rather than sort of making it a passive stretch. So sucking in the bandhas and stretching away, lengthening. And again, not about how low you go. Keep thinking about the position of the chin and the length of the back of the neck. Breathing here. The robins are picking up the mealworms to feed to their babies. And then carefully bring yourself out. So we're going to bring ourselves up to standing now. It's taken us a while to get off the mat today. So carefully does it. We're going to bring ourselves up to standing. Or if you need to come up carefully to save your lower back, roll onto your right hand side and onto your knees. Push yourself up carefully and then carefully bring yourself up to standing. It's good to move slowly sometimes. So coming to the front of the mat then, we'll take some movement now, thinking about the length of the back, thinking about creating as much space as possible for that central nervous system, the spinal column, to just do what it needs to do. Passing messages, energy, blood supply, the lot. So stretch up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back and down, fanning open the chest, star the hands momentarily just to get a bit of energy into the palms. And just be tall in your Tadasana. This is a pose. Finding all 4 corners of your feet, just lightly tucking the tail under, popping the heart through. Deep breath in here, sweeping the arms wide, lifting and stretching, star the hands, scoop the shoulders forward, lengthen. Soften the knees here to release the lower back as you breathe out, fold. Going to the floor if you want to, or to shins. Floor momentarily, lower the head if you can. And then breathe in, hands to shins, Ardha Uttanasana, roll the shoulders back and down, activate the back, curl the tail under, stretch through the top of the head, suck the bandhas in, push the floor away to activate the legs. Breathe out, fold. Place your hands, stride right and hold, and lower your knee to the floor. This is where you might need a cushion, or probably just a blanket popped underneath your knee. Okay, find where you can be in a nice stretch. So I'm going to turn sideways here. So we want the knee to be away from underneath this hip joint, and we want the knee at the front and the shin to be parallel, knee aligned nicely. So relax the back foot down, roll and stretch into your low Anjaneyasana, I should say, stretching away, lengthening, low lunge. So you can feel the legs sort of moving apart, then tuck the bandhas in and lift the heart, drop the shoulders. Breathing here. If it's not comfortable in the neck to look up, then just keep your gaze low and find the line of your spine. Breathing here. You're going to take the twist. So I'm going to take the right hand inside the left foot. I'm going to press down, lift up out of the shoulder joint, lengthen forward, and then we're going to twist. It doesn't have to be a big twist. You can just place the left hand on the left leg and use that to lengthen the twist. If you want to, you can get expansive and stretch up and away, lengthening, or you can just rest the hand on the lower back. As long as this shoulder's rolling open, that's the pose achieved. Keep breathing. Tuck the pelvic floor in to help. It's a supporting cast, the 18-hour girdle. Breathing here. And then breathe out, release that off, swap the hands over. So this time, left hand inside left foot. Push down, lengthen forward, drop the shoulders down the back. Staying here if this is enough, or carefully then spinning. You can just stretch out to the side. You can place the hand on the back hip, roll open and stretch open, or you can go into the full pose, stretching and getting your meridian through your heart. Breathing here, level weight between both feet, sucking in the bandhas, breathing here. It's quite a deep stretch, so work it carefully to suit you. It doesn't have to be mega. You can just work it carefully to just spin and twist. Release that off, stretch back, straighten, tense your hands and lift the foot off the floor. Care here not to lock out that knee, so you're drawing the leg into the belly, not pushing down through the back of the knee. You're just sucking the leg in and stretching through the top of the head, shoulders moving away. You can feel the hamstring stretch coming on at the back of the thigh here. If it's easier for you, you can keep the foot down and stretch away into a more Parsvottanasana style pose. Carefully does it then. I'm spinning back to center. Okay, we're going to place the hands flat. You're going to bring both knees together. You might want to lose the blanket. Roll the shoulders back and down. Push the floor away. Get the base of your down dog. Tuck the toes under and lift your tail. It's a bit odd for me because this garden slopes downhill, so all the blood is rushing to my head. So carefully does it then. Find where you can be comfortable in this pose. I'm going to turn sideways actually. And then stretch up, lengthening, keeping the back nice and long. Try not to hang out of the shoulders or puff themselves up. Draw the shoulders back and just lengthen through the tail, lengthen away. High heels, soft knees. You can be really sort of dragster. Go low if you want to in this pose. Really just think about the length of the spine. What's the position in down dog that's going to get your spine to be the longest and feel like you're creating space? Lovely. Take a deep breath in. We're going to lift the left leg momentarily. Suck the knee in, stretch it out behind, lift and sweep through to the front of the mat. Lovely. Look up and lengthen. Going to bring the right leg in into your Ardha Uttanasana here, so hands to shins. Roll the shoulders back and down. Lengthen, lift the heart. Really sort of tuck in the belly, stretch away. And breathe out, fold. Soften your knees off. Push the floor away really deliberately as if you're almost going to take a little hop. And then lengthen, lift up, stretch up. Think of the vitamin D. And breathe out. So one round of sun salutation, taking very slowly. We'll have to take the other side now. So take a deep breath in, sweep up, lengthen, find your Tadasana, and then your extended Tadasana. And breathe out, soften the knees to release the back, folding down to the floor if you can, or to shins. Breathe in, extend, shins, floor, Ardha Uttanasana or full Uttanasana. Stretch. Breathe out, fold, place, striding left this time into your low Anjaneyasana lunge. So again, propping that knee up at the back, finding your position, spin to the side again here. Okay, see if you can see. So, knee above the ankle, knee quite some way away from the hip joint at the back here, stretching away and lengthening, feeling the legs opening up, pelvic floor working, tucking everything in, stretching through the top of the head, breathing. Breathing, breathing. Everyone all right? Working very slowly today. Don't work fast on a bank holiday. Swap that left hand inside the right foot. Push down, lengthen forward. Think the stretch through the spine, tucking in the bandhas. Right hand to right thigh and carefully spin. So it's as if you're twisting a tea towel. So you're just twisting the spine very gently, but you need the length to twist effectively. If you want to take it further, expand into the fuller pose, or rest that hand on the lower back, rolling the top shoulder open. Breathing here, sucking in the bandhas, even weight through both feet. and knee. Lovely, keep breathing here. Think length rather than the depth of the twist. Release it back over. I'm going to swap the hands over. Right hand inside of right foot. Push down, lengthen forward, really stretch through the top of the head. And then carefully roll the left shoulder open, spin. You can rest it on the lower back here or stretch up into the full pose. Breathing here. Keep the length running up and down the spine. Think long and then think twist. Up to you where you can be comfortable, resting, taking it low if you want to. Take small movements rather than big. Your yoga, not mine. I'm just here to give you some ideas. Keep breathing. Release that off. Both hands to either side. Push off. Lift the foot off momentarily as you're stretching away, lengthening and lifting. Stretching through the hamstrings at the back. Keep breathing here. Flattening the foot off if you prefer, and avoiding that lock out of the knee. So draw the energy up the leg into the belly rather than pushing down through the back of the knee. Stretching out and lengthening. Lovely. Releasing that off. I'm going to spin back to the front now. Bring those both knees together behind you. Settle. If you need to take a quick swan stretch to release the hips, because you can sort of feel it in the saddlebaggy area around the top of the sort of TFL and into gluteus. Release that off. Tuck the toes under. I'm going to spin this way this time into your down dog. So build your pose. Big cat or dog paws. Roll the shoulders. Push the floor away. Lengthen through the top of the head. Tuck the toes under and lift into your down dog. And again, it can be a really soggy dog. If you want to bring a bit of movement in, bring a bit of movement in. You can just move around through the pelvis, stretching away and lengthening. Enjoy the pose. Think about the energy flowing up and down the spine, drawing the shoulders away from the ears, and the energy zipping up and down the limbs. Excellent. Take a deep breath in. Look up. Bring yourself forward to your hands. Hands to shins. Roll the shoulders back. Slight variation here. Drop your weight evenly into all four corners of the feet. Soften the knees. Lift the heart. Lift the head. Stretch through the top of the head. Drop and roll the shoulders back. Hands forward. And then you're going to take your flying lady variation. So you're going to draw the shoulder blades back. Bring the arms up and lengthen. Breathing here. Energy zipping up and down all of the limbs. Find where you can be comfortable. This is about making friends with this pose. Feeling it, not fighting it, as someone once sang. Breathing. And then breathe out lower. Ooh, fold the arms. Lower the head. Yes with the head. No with the head. Gently turning it from side to side, letting the weight of the head go. You might hear some popping, clicking in the ears just as the neck muscles start to release off. Lifting the tail. The knees are still soft, but we're still just lifting the tail, taking the energy into the legs, pushing the floor away, sucking the bandas in lightly here just to help release everything in the lower back and the bottom. Release the hands, soften the knees, roll yourself up very slowly. Everything very heavy. Head, arms, pushing the floor away, rolling up. Carefully does it. Chin and the shoulders go in and the chin leaves the chest. Oh, lovely. Quite hot now. Worn the wrong colours really. Should have worn something a bit more reflective. Then you probably wouldn't be able to see me. So carefully does it then. Going to take it into a variation on B. So I'm going to take some higher expansive movements now. So not being so close to the floor. And again, working carefully. So working in the proportions that suit you. You don't have to go mega with these poses. Okay. So into our Utkatasana fierce pose. If you want to take the weight out of the lower back in fierce pose, what we want to do is carefully just make sure that the arms are lower than normal. So full Utkatasana would be sweeping the breath in, sweeping up, drop the shoulders, fan open the armpits, and then sitting down and pushing into the floor. You can always stick a cushion or something between your knees, curling in, breathing here. Sorry to shout, trying to get over the circular saw. Okay, I think we're back on, are we? It's hard to tell. Okay, so sorry about that. We seem to have, it just involuntarily decided to end the live session. So we were in our down dog, walking our dogs, okay? And then we're going to bring ourselves back to the front of the mat. You'll probably work out that I'm now on a different post, which is irritating, but there we go. Breathe out lower. Technology, it's sent to try us. And then carefully, when you've found the time, bring yourself back up, out of your down dog, into your Tadasana. Okay, so probably take a few moments for people to find this new post, which is fine. So we've got about 20 minutes left of the practice. So we'll continue on, okay? Hopefully these save anyway. So we're going to bring ourselves back into our side angle stretches now. So we're going to step across the mat, breathing in here. Have you found it, love? Stretch the right foot back, push into the floor, open up into your warrior two position. So this time the foot at the back of the mat is chocked to the side, to the same side as the mat. Front knee is bent, dropping the shoulders down the back, and carefully does it. I'm going to stretch away. So we're going to sit here. Oh dear. Technical issues. It's going well, this, isn't it? Keep breathing. Keep lengthening, stretching up and away and over the top into your Utthita Parsvarkonasana, opening up the pelvis like an oyster shell, stretching away, lengthening, breathing here, standard side angle stretch, and then carefully, you can come out of this first if you prefer, or you can stay low, stretch and lengthen, roll and open up, stacking everything so you feel like you're lying against a flat wall, and you're going to stretch yourself into Utthita Trikonasana triangle pose. Stretching away, drawing the shoulders down the back, lengthening through the top of the head, and again, it doesn't have to be massive. You can rest on the leg if you prefer, keep a softness in the knee, that's your call, stretching away, turning up to the top hand if you feel that's comfortable. Keep breathing here, pushing evenly through both feet. Soften that off, bring it back up to your warrior position, stretching away, and then carefully straighten that leg and bring yourself back to the front of the mat. We'll take it on the other side. So I'm going to go into the shade now. Deep breath in, going to stretch the left leg back, so stretching away across the mat, front knee bent, back foot parallel with the back of the mat, opening up the pelvis, roll the inner thighs out to really open up the pelvis, and then bend, settle into your warrior, stretching away, and then when you're ready, keep the length through the spine as you settle and go over and stretch up and away, flattening against that wall behind, checking that knees nicely in line with the toes, breathing here, bandhas engaged, stretching away. Bringing yourself into the straight pose, so straightening the leg, coming up and out if you need to, or into your Trikonasana. So lengthening both sides of the waist, trying not to lock out the right knee, but stretching up and away and turning up if that feels comfortable. Breathing here, and then carefully softening that off, bringing it back up, releasing off, okay, back into your warrior. Softening the shoulders, lining up the knee, pushing evenly through both feet, drawing the energy up into the bandhas. And then carefully straightening that leg and then bringing yourself back to the front. Well done, everyone. So carefully does it then. Bringing ourselves back to the front of our mats. We're going to take our wide leg stretches now. We're going to take a variation here. So we're going to take a straight leg Padottanasana first, variation with the hands behind. We did this last night if you followed yesterday's practice. And we're also then going to take a goddess position, but with a gentle twist through the spine. So carefully does it then. Arrange yourself sideways. It might be that you have to step back and spin sideways, so you've got both feet on your mat. You can see why I put my mats in a cruciform position now. So carefully does it. Not too wide. You'll feel it in here at the top of the head of the femur, col de fémur, in here if it's too wide. You'll feel this tension just creeping in, so just bring it in a little bit if you need to. I'm going to soften the knees just a little bit, and the feet are parallel with the edges of the mat. Push the floor away, straighten the legs, and lengthen up. The arms don't have to be high in this one. Keep the hands onto the hips, opening the chest, draw the shoulder blades together, soften the knees off as you tilt the pelvis, so you're kicking the tail out behind you, tucking in and folding down. And again, if you need a little mountain of cushions in front of you to give yourself height, that's fine. If you can get down to the floor, great. Roll the shoulders, straighten the legs, just make sure you've got weight through toes and heels, so you might want to just rock back and forth a little bit. Roll the shoulders back and down, stretch through the top of the head, lengthening. Energy zipping up and down the limbs here. Then spin the hands round and spider yourself down. And we're just drawing the shoulders back and down and apart, elbows moving together, and you're just sort of spidering your hands back through the gap as you fold yourself down. Keep lifting and lengthening. Keep breathing here. Settle. Doesn't have to be a low pose. If you'd rather be out in front with your hands spinning and your shoulders drawing, that's fine too. Still a nice Ardha Padottanasana pose, half Padottanasana, very nice. Breathing here, taking your time. Breathing, just checking the camera's still on. Paranoid now. Lovely. Carefully does it, bend the knees, bring the hands back round to fingers front, soften those knees, dip the tail and roll yourself back up. For goddess pose, then we're going to bring ourselves into a slightly different position. So we're going to bring the feet in a little bit, and this time the toes are going to kick out. So the heels are more likely now under the knees and a bit closer to the hips. Okay, so you're in a sort of more expansive external rotation of the hip joint. Okay, we're going to sit ourselves down. We're going to take a bit of lifting and lowering. If you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to drop the weight into the toes and the heels, drop the weight right down over the pelvic floor, slide the hands down the thighs as you sit down, keep the pelvis pushing forward and the chest opening, and push down, breathe out as you lift up, breathing out into the effort, breathing in, sinking down, and breathing out, pushing up. Carefully does it. Checking those knees don't fly too far past the toes. Okay, just want to make sure you're in a good, solid, weighted position. Breathing out, coming back up. A couple more of those if you fancy. Or you can take a rest. Sitting down, breathing out, pushing back up. One more time. Breathing in. And breathing out. Hopefully you've noticed with the development of that pose that you're actually going a little bit lower every time into your goddess pose. Hopefully as you've started to feel these hip girdles sort of release off a little bit. So we're going to go down a little bit now. We're not going to go too low. Okay, so we're going to place the hands on the knees, going to sit down so the chest is forward here, draw the shoulders down the back, sit down. Okay, you can prop yourself with your hands so it's a little bit lighter than the last pose. Carefully does it. Keep long through the back, keep dropping the shoulders down and pushing the floor away. Bandhas are sucking in, so suck the energy up the legs like straws into the bandhas, and then carefully we're going to twist and drop the chest over to the right hand side, dropping the left shoulder. Breathing here. Breathe in back to center, lengthen, drop the shoulders, and then breathe out, drop the right shoulder over to the left leg. Stretching through the spine, breathing up, back to center. Come out with a goddess if you need to, any point. If you need to rest, spin to the side. Aiming at freeing up and getting fresh blood flow into these muscles that don't move a lot when we're sitting. So you can feel the energy and the blood flow zipping up and down the legs. If you're getting lactic acid, getting that sort of burning feeling in your muscles, then that's fine too. That means that stuff is happening in the muscles. Each side, if you can manage it. One more time. Lovely. Carefully does it back to center. And keep curling the tail under. Very tempting to stick the booty out in this one. And then bring it back to center. Just carefully straighten the legs up, walk those feet back towards each other and bring yourself back to the front of your mat. So then, unusual to finish sort of in standing poses, so we're going to sit ourselves down carefully. Up to you whether you take a moment to just rearrange yourself into a sitting position, or whether you just drop yourself down through a squat and sit yourself down carefully at the front of the mat. Stretch those legs out, quick time check, pull the fleshy parts out. Let those legs stretch out in front. Sit up nice and tall. Okay, carefully does it then. We're going to bring one of these cushions into play now. So we're going to bend both feet, going to stretch the left leg through the gap, but we're going to stick a cushion underneath the right leg. Okay, I'm going to draw the left leg in, sit up nice and tall. Lovely. Carefully does it then. I'm going to take a twist here. Okay, so we're going to bring ourselves, our right hand around our left knee. So sit up, maybe you catch the left knee with your right hand, or maybe you continue the movement on and wrap it around. Sit up nice and tall. You need to give the spine space to take that twist and twist into the left. All the while, I'm pressing this right knee down into the cushion or the floor, depending, to spin onto the left side a little bit more deeply. Lovely. Release that off, and we're going to take this into a pigeon. So we're just going to keep this cushion where it is. We're going to bring the left leg round, and we're going to take it forward. So place the hands in front, bring the left leg underneath the hip and in line. So now you're sitting on a cushion. It might be that you want to shove a second cushion underneath. Breathe in and lift, and just be nicely propped on the right hand side. Not so that you're all skew-if and off to one side, but it just helps release the bottom, and you can sit in, and you should feel a deep release deep in the butt cheek. This is your piriformis muscle, very stubby, strong muscle, and gets very tight. If you're very unlucky, it passes very close to the sciatic nerve, or the sciatic nerve passes through the muscle itself, which is bad news. Keep breathing. Lovely. Roll onto that cushion, release the legs, and swap the cushion over to the other side. So we're going to sit down, legs are bent, this time left leg through, bring your cushion in, prop up, have your second cushion ready if you need it for your pigeon on this side. I'm going to bring the right leg in, sit up nice and tall, either hug the left hand onto right knee and twist, or if you can take that movement further, wrap that arm around the knee, sit up, keep lengthening through the spine, tuck the chin in and spin, and then push down, push this left leg down into the cushion or to the floor and spin. Breathing here, take it more deeply if you prefer. If you want to take a really deep twist, cross it over and really use that bind to get deep into the belly and into the bandhas. Breathing here. Release that off over into a pigeon. So we're going to release the right leg round to the side into sort of like deer-like pose, and then we're going to roll over and bring ourselves into position. So we're going to bring that leg round, scooch this round. You might want to bring both in, stick them underneath the bottom. Just check this knee is safe, because pigeon is a bit of a knee twocker, so just be careful here. Lengthen and lift and settle into position. So here again, we should be feeling this openness in the hip. I'm going to go down a little bit so to feel that stretch deep into the butt cheek. Breathing here. Enough activity in the legs and the bandhas to create the pose, but not so much that you feel sort of stuck, like rigor mortis is set in. Keep breathing. Lovely. Roll off onto the left butt cheek, onto the cushion. Release the legs forward, and then carefully does it. We're going to bring ourselves into our towards relaxation poses. So we're just going to take one pose with a propped seat. Up to you. You can have the legs crossed, or you can take it in a kneeling position, or you can take it with your feet wide. It's entirely up to you. Okay, you can prop yourself. So if you want to, you can stretch up and prop with the blanket under, cushion underneath to lift your pelvis. You could also take the Baddha Konasana version, so Yoga Mudrasana. Bring yourself into a comfortable position. Going to sweep the arms forward, cave the chest, open the spine, pop the spine backwards. Really bring the arms round and open. Catch the hands together, roll each shoulder open, lift up and lengthen. Breathing in and breathing out, lifting, and keep stretching the shoulders away as you fold over into your Yoga Mudrasana. And it doesn't matter how low you go, it's about sealing the practice, drawing the energy up and down the limbs. Band is still lightly engaged here. Breathing. Hold it for 5 breaths, or longer if you prefer. If you're not clock watching, then you can bring yourself out of your Yoga Mudrasana when you're ready. Now then into Shavasana. So you can feel hopefully that we've moved every part of the body. For Shavasana today, there is a choice here. If you've got your 2 sofa cushions, you can place them on the mat. I'm turning my back to the camera. Place them nicely on the mat. Your bottom will be in front of them. Okay, so they're going to be sort of the second one might be up towards the head of the mat, and your head's going to drop off the back end. Plonk your bottom in front. Bent legs is fine if you're feeling it in your lower back and you want to take the strain out of your lower back. Bent legs is absolutely fine. Or straight legs out to the side. Rearrange yourself down on the floor so your spine is supported by the cushions. And maybe, depends on the size of the cushions, your head is dropping off the back. If it's not, you might want to scooch them up and just make a little nest for your head so the head starts to drop away and opening up the throat and into your top of your chest here. Palms open and flatten yourself off. So there is a gentle curve in the spine here, nothing major unless you've got huge sofa cushions. And we're just going to really just concentrate on opening the front of the body, creating space. Because when we sit, we tend to atrophy the front of the body, so the front starts to cave as we sort of sink into sofas, the bum goes back, the low back caves, and we just sort of start to shrink. And especially if we're working on keyboards or on tables with laptops, we're starting to lose our spinal health here. Breathing, settling. So now it's the end of the practice, Shavasana. This is an active relaxation in that we pay attention to what's going on with the body and the breath, but inevitably we get distracted depending on our environs, so we're just keeping ourselves focused on the breath and the body and just trying to notice without judgment if our body and our mind start to just become a little bit distracted. So take 3 sighing breaths here, deep breathing in and out, and really sigh the breath away. You can use the banders to push out the last of the breath. Ooh. The next breath flowing in is even better, deeper quality. Sighing away again as many times as you feel is necessary to let the body go. Let the body go heavy, submit to gravity. Each limb goes heavy. If it's helpful, you can draw your attention into the parts of the body that you're breathing into. So first turn your attention to your belly, the rise and fall of your belly as each breath comes and goes. The rise and fall of your chest as the breath comes and goes. And the feeling of your breath entering the body through the nose and the mouth, or just the nose, the cool air coming in and the warm air going out. When imagination walks, she writes letters to the earth. When she runs, her feet trace postcards to the sun. And when she dances, She sends love letters to the stars. Some people accuse imagination of being a liar. They don't understand that she has her own way of uncovering the truth. She studied journalism so she could go and interview interesting people. She was surprisingly good at writing articles, but when in doubt, she just made things up. And more recently, imagination has been working with a fortune teller. She has a way of telling your fortune so clearly that you believe her, and maybe then your wishes start to come true. Imagination looks to start making films. She has no intention of working in a factory where they manufacture films that just lull us to sleep. Her vision is complex and yet simple. With old stories, she wants us to see what has never been seen before. Imagination by J. Ruth Gendler. If you're able to stay longer in your Shavasana, then please do. Settle yourself and take as much time as you need. If you're looking at timings, then we're coming up to sort of 65 minutes session. So we're going to bring our awareness back to the sounds you can hear. Baby robins. How your skin feels against the air and your body against the floor. And tuning in to the vibration of your body. Each cell operating at its own frequency. Tuning into how your frequency is at the moment. Is it high, medium or low? Taking care of yourself this Easter. Enjoy your time off if you've got some. Bring yourself back up to seated when you're ready. Take a deep breath in, sweep your arms up, hands together, breathe out, thank you, and namaste, and happy Easter. Stay safe, everyone.